Okay, just moving on. How will we wait for time, organizers? Are you still okay for time? Okay, great. Prior to the next question actually relates to some of the commentaries that has been made earlier by the speakers. Prior to privatization of utility services such as electricity, water, sewerage, telecommunications, the provision of such services was the responsibility of the government, and the private sector developers only pay financial contribution charges for to cover the costs involved. In line with the nation's privatization policy, these services were privatized to companies, some of which are listed on Bursa Malaysia. Yet, the industry is made to pay for the capital costs involved in the utilities provision. This is in addition to the other compliance costs, such as the quotas, planning requirements, and others. The question to the panelists is, the industry is overburdened by the high compliance costs. Should capital costs of utility provisions be the responsibility of the private utility service providers or property developers, which ultimately passes on to house buyers? Panelists,
well, the local utility providers are private entities in their own right, and they generate profit from the provision of their services. As it is, developers are already required to lay the infrastructure within their own project. And when, in my earlier answer, I said just now we are also required to pool these services, such as water, electricity, and whatnot, gas, to our development. Definitely, if they are there and they are making record profit, look at certain companies, record profit after record profit, like I said, the private entities, then I strongly think that the utility providers should bear some costs. Today, if you were to build a township, let's say a township of 100 acres, after you take out the roads, drains, you have to take out the contribution for the public utility companies, you have to build your substation. I mentioned this earlier, reservoir, STP. You also have to build, provide land for schools and whatnot. The net usable area is only about 50%. So when you say you're developing 100 acres, you're only getting 50 acres. You don't get the whole 100 acres. And yet, we are still being made to pay all this to the utility companies. While before the privatization, when we were to build something, we will be pulled right to the end of our development, but within our development, it is our own responsibility. Now, everything, right from pulling, right from providing the substation, for instance, providing the reservoir, is all at our cost. And I think we are also giving them new customers. We are providing new customers to these utility companies. They should use these new customers from the tariff to lower down, if not abolish, part of this capital contribution. And with these savings, I think we can provide more affordable homes and even slower down the rate of property increases.
Thank you very much.
Well, on principle alone, any business must invest in their own tools of trade or in their own infrastructure. So why are developers made to carry all the infrastructure costs, which at the end of the day is passed on to the consumer, passed on to the house purchaser? So they are all for-profit companies. They are listed companies. They are big companies. Therefore, it is totally unfair that house purchasers have to pay for their infrastructure to enjoy their service. Okay. Perhaps they, as a company, they will have to go and raise funds. Public company, they can raise from bonds. We have advocated before that if they are short of funds, they go to the market to raise bonds. Perhaps part of the capital contribution or the capital contribution could be developer buying the bonds, right? Which it is liquid enough to sell on the market.
Definitely, it's a utility company have to bear the cost. Actually, they are all in the monopoly business. If you look at all the utilities company, they are all monopolized. We cannot generate our own electricity and sell and distribute. We cannot actually go and get our own water and distribute. So they are all in monopoly business. But we are helping them to market, like what those three Iskandar mentioned just now. We're helping them to market, we're helping them to finding the customers, and yet we have to pay for it. So does it make sense or not? And if you look at the EPS of some of these companies, they are making 80-90 cents EPS. We are not, as developer, we are not even making 10 cents or 5 cents. So where is the logic if you look at it? And this cost actually being passed on to the consumer. Consumer actually bear the cost. So is it right for consumer to bear this cost? I mean, it's a question. So definitely, it's utility company have to actually bear for this cost.
Okay, thank you, Dato. But it's very obvious that on the developer side, they are very much in favor of the private utility providers to be paying. But for the non-developer side, let's hear from them.
I also work for Kazana, which is a big shareholder of many of these companies who have been identified today. No comment would be. But as a house buyer, obviously you want the cheapest house price as possible. As a house seller, higher prices are good.
I think based on the current unbalanced sharing of capital costs, I think based on equity principle, I would say that I would go for the first method. Private utility provider to actually share some of the costs, especially since they are also imposing user charges and that can be recovered in the future payments.
I would go for cost sharing basis. Perhaps I think this is something we can take it to the authority in terms of how this cost sharing to be done. Perhaps I think there's always a stick and carrot kind of situation to encourage developer to be more generous. I would put it in terms of providing affordable home. There can be a trade-off in terms of sharing of the cost. I do agree. I think generally the compliance cost sometimes can be ridiculous. Just to share with you, things like UK contribution is tagged go by your GDV, which is to me whether somebody press a button after you're doing your business in Gua Musang or the guy doing the same business in Kota Baru providing 10 times more in Kuala Lumpur than in Gua Musang, unfortunately.
So I take it that you are in the middle ground. Okay, thank you. Okay, item 6. We take one last question. No. Okay, my apologies. So, in view of the time shortage, if I may just summarize, so-called this friendly debate. As I said, it is not to put our speakers in a spot, but rather just to get their views, and I will sum it this way. For question 1, which relates to whether it should be on home ownership focus as opposed to be a more equal footing between home ownership and rental proposition, we find that there are 4 out of 6 speakers are in favor of a more equal footing, meaning home ownership and rental policies that should be devised. For question number 2, with regards to the housing affordability solution, we have got, believe it or not, 4 in favor of new supply as the solution to the problem, whereas we have got 2 that seem to think that accessing to financing is the way to go. For question number 3, unanimously, all 6 speakers are of the view that slowing down the rate of increase in house prices is really the practical way to go, and it is not possible for house prices to be reduced. Bear in mind that if you were to be tracking announcement by the politicians and our ministers, they seem to think that it is very easy to just bring down the price. But contrary to those politicians' views, our practitioners here, the panel of experts, seem to think otherwise. Question 4, with regards to IBS, we find that for all practical purposes, we have got 4 that believe that we will not meet the target in 3 years' time by 2020. One speaker is of the opinion that by definition, based on CITP, which is a score of 50, we'll be able to meet that requirement, and we've got 1 abstention. So this question has got a very mixed response. And the last question, question 5 that I've got, has to do with privatization policy, whereby the capital costs should be in favor that it should not be at the responsibility of property developers. It should be paid by the utility providers. We have got 1 abstain and 1 that said that we should be sharing. So on this note, thank you very much. So as you can see, the debate is not really a debate, but rather having an opinion that gives a view in relation to the question. Thank you very much.